It's mainstream. No one thinks that you're some kind of weird person who wants to live an alternative lifestyle necessarily.
The world is a very serious place and very upsetting sometimes, but I think sometimes you just got to do your bit.
No, I just wanted to change the world environmentally sort of from a young age.
It needs people who are prepared to break the law.
Naively I thought, oh, now I know about this, I just have to tell my friends about this and then everybody will know about it and it'll all be solved.
That's right.
12 years ago now, and it's no different.
One of the most important things that I've learned in the work that I've done is how powerful all of us are as individuals to create change.
According to the UK government, over half of the population don't recycle, and more waste is ending up in landfill. Jeff and Sandy live in Lincoln and are doing their part to try and live sustainably. Unlike most people their age, they don't live in a traditional British house, but rather an eco-home.
We thought, actually we'll regret it if we don't build an eco-house, because we've thought about it. We've sort of had a little dream in our heads for many years of...
But never imagined it would be real.
I didn't think we'd actually do it, but there we were.
But the thought of selling it to a developer who would just put a rubbish house on the plot, we thought, no way. So we took the chance.
We don't buy things if we can reuse something. So we tried to reuse everything. So we reused a garage, which was outside there, and built a garden shed at the bottom of the garden. And for the concrete sections that were available, we built 2 raised beds for growing stuff. The 2 patio doors, sets of patio doors, have made us a greenhouse. We used the bath from here to make a pond. We've got frog spawn in there now. And all the doors, or I have to say the doors because I'm very proud of the doors. We took down all the doors. We couldn't put them downstairs because they're not wide enough for building regs now. But we used all 6 doors upstairs for our bedrooms. And
everything, just to the best of our ability, gets reused.
Got used.
Even screws and nails.
The retired couple love to spend time in their garden, grow their own foods and host dinner parties.
There's a lovely expression, LOAF, loaf, local, organic, fair, animal friendly and fair trade. Those are principles we try to put into practice.
Despite Jeff's knowledge on climate change, he only realised how urgent it is to address the issue after his daughter Beth had been arrested for stopping a train delivering coal.
When I went to the original sources, NASA, the Met Office, the Royal Society and the IPCC, the penny dropped how really urgent it was. So we had to say, after a year, Beth, we admit you're right. It needs people who are prepared to break the law.
Naively I thought, oh, now I know about this, I just have to tell my friends about this, join Transition Lincoln, and then everybody will know about it and it'll all be solved.
That's
it's
right.
12 years ago now, and it's no different.
Although the couple live in an eco-home, they also try to do their best to buy locally, eat vegan, and limit their car use. Something else Sandy loves to do is buy second-hand, and she's not alone. 22-year-old Jordan loves thrifting in vintage and charity shops.
No, I just wanted to change the world environmentally from a young age. I don't know why, I just did. I wanted to go into renewable energy, and then I don't know, my interest in clothing got more when I was older, and then I thought, why not make it sustainable? When I started getting into more sustainable clothes, I was like, why don't I just make stuff, because I'm kind of creative anyway. So then I just said I'll go on YouTube and taught myself how to sew. I wouldn't say it's hard, but I wouldn't say you have to have the basic knowledge of like how to sew and like what stitches to do on the clothing and make sure they're not going to break. And it's a lot about measurements and precision, and other than that, like I think anyone could do it if they try.
Fast fashion is a method of designing, producing and manufacturing clothes that harms the environment and causes mountains of waste.
The contributions to landfill that fast fashion brings and the global carbon emissions that it emits is really bad for our planet, and even how like villages in Africa are like overflowing with waste of our fabric and everything. I just think what's the point when we have so much fabric? We ship tons of fabric each year to different countries. We could take that fabric and convert it into something more beautiful than the standard clothes that people just wear.
To prevent clothing from going to waste, Jordan likes to go thrifting. It's a trend that has taken off over the past few years. Apps like Depop and Vinted, where you can buy and sell clothes, have become popular with young people. Jordan has noticed it's not just mobile platforms that have seen an increase, but in physical shops as well. Julia is a pioneer for sustainability. During her travels to South America in 1983, she witnessed pristine rainforests being destroyed. This played a huge role in her climate change activism.
I think that when I started in 1986, really people had no idea. They just didn't know about it at all. And so, that was something that, we were very much part of the movement to alert people to the issue of climate. But it was also, even of the people that knew, they were very much looking at it as sort of like, well, the next generation have got to be really careful. Actually, the really interesting thing is, if you start thinking a sort of green vision for our society, and you start looking at the sort of cities of the future, and you look at creating more green space, of having people on bicycles, and electric cars, and all those type of things, I don't know about you, but it makes me feel excited about that's the sort of world that I want to live in. And so it's not that it's a great sacrifice. I think that for a long time, that people always looked at sort of green measures as a sort of a series of deprivation. But it doesn't have to be like that. It's actually creating the sort of world that we really do want to live in, much more pleasant than than the old world, the dirty world that we have been living in.
Eating vegan can reduce a person's carbon footprint up to 73%. Annie turned vegan 2 years ago.
So originally I was vegetarian, and then the thing that sort of spurred me on to be a vegan was for sustainability. I had read a lot about the impact, particularly the dairy industry has on the environment, and I watched documentaries and I read articles, and that's sort of what made me finalise going vegan. Cutting things out like avocado has been really hard. I really miss avocado, but that's actually probably harder than going vegan, because looking at what's locally sourced and what is ethically sourced is probably a harder challenge than just cutting out all meats and things.
Going vegan isn't the only sustainable switch Annie has made. She tries not to throw anything away and always reuses and recycles.
When I moved out of home, it meant that I could bulk buy things like cosmetics and reduce the amount of bottles I was getting, because I could refill what I was doing. So yeah, I feel like that's when I started to really have an impact on my consumption. And also once you get into a routine of it, you get into more of a mindset of, okay, how can I reduce my waste here?
Tim has been working on sustainability and consumption for over 40 years. The concern for the environment instantly grabbed his attention when at university.
I think it's imperative that we all play a part, and we don't just address minor changes that are required in our life, but actually think about everything that we do in terms of our consumption. Britain is one of the world's richest countries. We consume, therefore, more than most other countries do per capita, and much of that waste is not recycled. In fact, the majority of it is not recycled. A number of problems are posed by that. So we need to find ways of no longer assuming that the earth has got an infinite supply of materials. No longer can we just create waste and dump it in a hole in the ground, but rather we've got to find ways of changing from that old linear model to one whereby we reuse and recycle. We'll all face troubles as a consequence, whether it's the fact that more glaciers are melting, climates are changing, and although we in this country are relatively well protected compared to poorer countries, we're unlikely to suffer as much. At the same time, we don't want to live in a world where we see suffering around us either.
You can't focus on that big picture in terms of things, because you might get paralysed and think you can't do anything. And what you've got to focus on is what you can do as an individual.
It's ordinary people who are actively adapting their lifestyle for the health of the planet that makes the difference. Scientists warn that if changes aren't made, the worst effects of climate change could be irreversible by 2030.